After the Montagu-Chelmsford reforms 1919, two significant events made the ground for Government of India Act 1935. These were Simon Commission and the Communal Award. Simon Commission. In November 1927, the British government announced the appointment of a seven-member statutory commission under the chairmanship of Sir John Simon to report on the condition of India under its new constitution. All the members of the commission were British and hence all the parties boycotted the commission. The commission submitted its report in 1930 and recommended the abolition of diarchy, extension of responsible government in the provinces, establishment of a federation of British India and princely states, continuation of communal electorates, and so on. To consider the proposals of the Commission, the British government convened three round-table conferences of the representatives of the British government, British India, and Indian princely states. On the basis of these discussions, a white paper on constitutional reforms were prepared and submitted for the consideration of the Joint Select Committee of the British Parliament. Communal Award. In August 1932, Ramsay MacDonald, the British Prime Minister, announced a scheme of representation of minorities which came to be known as the Communal Award. The award not only continued separate electorates for Muslims, Sikhs, Indian Christians, Anglo-Indians and Europeans, but also extended to its depressed classes or scheduled castes. Gandhiji was distressed over this extension of this principle of communal representation to the depressed classes and undertook first unto death in Yaraveda jail, Pune, to get the award modified. At last, there was an agreement between the leaders of the Congress and the depressed classes. The agreement, known as Pune Pact, retained the Hindu joint electorate and gave reserved seats to the depressed classes. Government of India Act of 1935. The Act marked a second milestone towards a completely responsible government in India. It was a lengthy and detailed document having 321 sections and 10 schedules. Features of the Act. It provided for the establishment of an All India Federation consisting of provinces and princely states as units. The Act divided the powers between the central and units in terms of three lists: federal list for centre with 59 items, provincial list for provinces with 54 items, and the concurrent list for both with 36 items. Residuary powers were given to the Viceroy. However, the federation never came into being as the princely states did not join it. It abolished diarchy in the provinces and introduced provincial autonomy in its place. The provinces were allowed to act as autonomous units of administration in their defined spheres. This came into effect in 1937 and was discontinued in 1939. It provided for the adoption of the diarchy at the center. Consequently, the federal subjects were divided into reserved subjects and transferred subjects. However, this provision of the Act did not come into operation at all. It introduced bicameralism in 6 out of 11 provinces. Thus, the legislature of Bengal, Bombay, Madras, Bihar, Assam, and the United Provinces were made bicameral, consisting of a legislative council, upper house, and a legislative assembly, lower house. However, many restrictions were placed on them. It further extended the principle of communal representation by providing separate electorates of depressed classes, women and labor. It abolished the Council of India established by the Government of India Act of 1858. The Secretary of the State for India was provided with a team of advisers. It extended franchisee. About 10% of the total population got the voting right. It provided for the establishment of a Reserve Bank of India to control the currency and the credit of the country. It provided for the establishment of not only a Federal Public Service Commission but also a Provincial Public Service Commission and Joint Public Service Commission for two or more provinces. It provided for the establishment of a federal court which was set up in 1937. Indian Independent Act of 1947. On February 20, 1947, the British Prime Minister Clement Attlee declared that the British rule in India would end by June 30, 1948, after which the power would be transferred to responsible Indian hands. This announcement was followed by the agitation of the Muslim League demanding partition of the country. Again, on June 3, 1947, the British government made it clear that any constitution framed by the Constituent Assembly in India cannot apply to those parts of the country which were unwilling to accept it. On the same day, Lord Mountbatten, the Viceroy of India, put forth the partition plan known as the Mountbatten Plan. The plan was accepted by the Congress and the Muslim League. Immediate effect was given to the plan by enacting the Indian Independent Act 1947. Indian Independent Act 1947 ended the British rule in India and declared India as an independent and sovereign state from August 15, 1947. It provided for the partition of India and creation of two independent dominions of India and Pakistan with the right to secede from the British Commonwealth. It provided the governance of each of the dominions and provinces by the Government of India Act 1935 till the new constitutions were framed. Dominions were, however, authorized to make modifications in the Act. It designated the Governor-General of India and the provincial governors as constitutional heads of the state. They were made to act on the advice of the respective council of ministers in all matters. At the stroke of midnight of 14 August 1947, the British rule came to an end and the power was transferred to the two new independent dominions of India and Pakistan. Lord Mountbatten became the first Governor-General of the new Dominion of India. He showed in Jawaharlal Nehru as the first Prime Minister of independent India. The Constituent Assembly of India, formed in 1946, became the Parliament of the Indian Dominion.